Meghan Markle spinning sympathy again? Or is Hollywood finally seeing through the act?
What do you think of them?
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
That is so beautiful.
No.
They're ridiculous.
She never stops whining.
Meghan Markle Googled, is the race card an actual card?
I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers. Slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Your voice is driving me crazy and I'm about to jump over there and put my fists down your throat.
I think the woke have been asleep.
Oh my gosh, I work so hard.
You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
Well, if Meghan and Harry can quit their family, you can too.
Here's an email that I've been keeping for you.
I have full body chills right now.
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
No.
Dan, when you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God.
Did that tear-drenched podcast really win her any sympathy? Or just raise more eyebrows? And let's be honest, host Jamie Kern Lima's vibe was unsettling at best.
I have full body chills right now.
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
No.
Let's break down the internet meltdown over her Time magazine power pose, and Prince Harry's BBC disaster that had critics cringing. Behind palace doors, whispers grow louder. Meghan's not a misunderstood icon. She's a master manipulator. Spotify dropped her. Netflix numbers nosedived. And now, royal insiders say her days as Her Royal Highness might be numbered. Maybe stop signing autographs like a queen, Meghan.
When you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with
Meghan Markle's latest podcast was hyped as raw and real. No glam, no script, just her heart on display. But let's be honest, it felt more rehearsed than reality.
40 minutes into the podcast, this little picture, quite a grainy picture, flashed up, which shows a basket of, homemade preserves with a card on it, HRH, Duchess of Sussex, Meghan.
You dropped off this gift basket with ice creams, homemade strawberry sauce to put on top of the ice cream.
I find it a little bit cringe to give a gift to a close friend and sign it Her Royal Highness.
Why even in private? She's using that full title, Her Royal Highness.
I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm gonna put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends.
Meghan Markle's latest podcast was hyped as raw and real. No glam, no script, just her heart on display. But let's be honest, it felt more rehearsed than reality.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim, when there's nothing to be a victim about, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
Critics saw right through it, another calculated play to pump up her so-called lifestyle empire. Sure, everything sold out in 30 minutes. But here's the twist. Insiders say the stock was laughably low, just enough to fake the frenzy and fuel the illusion of success.
Work so hard. The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done. It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it. And
in this interview, she really goes on these tangents of talking about how stressful her day is. And when I was listening to it, I was thinking, no, that sounds like a normal day to me, Meghan.
Meanwhile, fans are blasting her. Orders still unfulfilled. After nearly a month, and don't get me started on her trademark filings for yoga mats and pet bowls. Former fans are calling it a last-ditch effort to cash in on a fading brand. Who needs a podcast about self-praise? Meghan spends the entire time telling us how amazing her life is. Is this a moment of vulnerability or just another scripted chapter in the Meghan Markle show?
She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family.
She is doing a cooking show on Netflix. I only watched 5 seconds of it and I thought she was going to cut her wrist by trying to zest a lemon. This girl has never been in the kitchen in her life.
So when she's trying to sell these kind of, I'm sorry, but crappy cheap tats to middle America, she needs to have this relatability and she doesn't have that at all.
Meanwhile, fans are blasting her. Their order's still unfulfilled after nearly a month. And don't get me started on her trademark filings for yoga mats and pet bowls. Former fans are calling it a last-ditch effort to cash in on a fading brand. Who needs a podcast about self-praise? Meghan spends the entire time telling us how amazing her life is. Is this a moment of vulnerability, or just another scripted chapter in the Meghan Markle show?
They want it both ways. These people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
The episode racked up millions of streams, with clips going viral on TikTok and Instagram. Jamie Kern Lima called it raw, but not everyone's buying it. What's odd is that Jamie went out of her way to tell us Meghan didn't get a sneak peek at any of the questions. But is that really a good thing, or just a way to sell the story?
Can you imagine being Archie or Lilibet and opening this inbox of 6,000 emails when you turn 18? No one wants that, not the children. And also it sets this really unrealistic expectation, which Meghan is so good at doing for other parents.
If I don't have meetings in the morning, then I try to do school drop-off. They're at 2 different schools. So from 6:30 in the morning on drop-off mornings for me, I'm not home till 9.
Why even emphasize that detail? Is she trying to convince us, or is she just trying to convince herself?
Her life is so hard because she has to do school drop-offs, and thank God that she's got a live-in nanny basically raising these 2 children.
And no matter how you slice it, the tears weren't convincing. The Daily Mail's Alexander Ellman called it out as nothing more than a desperate ploy for attention. Former fans pointed out how perfectly rehearsed her delivery was. One even joked, even her tears must have a PR team behind them.
You haven't seen any of the questions ahead of time, and we're in our sweat, and you look the
Markle's
exact
critics
same
are
with no
calling
makeup
her
as
out.
makeup,
Her stories
and
always circle back to her brand, her struggles. The Express quoted a royal insider, slamming her emotional turn as nothing more than a desperate attempt to salvage a tarnished image. And it's not working.
She's allegedly wearing no makeup. Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout. Like she's completely camera ready. And she also is pretending that she's crying. There isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
During promotion for Suits, she was joking with one of the photographers that she can cry on command. Left eye, go. And then you watch a tear fall down her face, and then she starts cackling because she's so proud of herself.
She has this really famous thing where she says one tap left eye and she can make herself cry on demand.
Meghan's appearance at the Time 100 Summit sparked intense backlash. Honestly, it's hard to tell who's more insincere in these interviews, Blake Lively or Meghan Markle.
Didn't make the Times list of cool people, but she did get invited there because her agency probably bought her access. This is one of the goofiest things ever.
Because I think it speaks to the tiny moments of joy that are so effortless and just create a little bit of magic that we're all craving.
What in the hell word salad is this?
Tiny little flower petals that are dried. I started putting them on salads. I started putting them on scrambled eggs. Level of charm that you find people have when they see these tiny little dried petals is something I can't fully wrap my head around, but I appreciate.
I'm elevating it by putting dried flower petals on all of my food.
Her Time Summit speech, despite not making the 2025 list.
It's just another lie from Meghan where she's told us one thing about this wholesome family life that she's got, but really it's staff behind the scenes that are upholding this entire image for this woman.
Meghan's Time Summit speech, despite not landing her on the 2025 list, only stoked more controversy. Former fans slammed her inclusion as laughable, pointing out her business barely exists. Jam, honey, and cupcake sprinkles? Not exactly a legacy maker. Who does she think she is? Gayle King. Now that's a woman who actually made an impact. She went to space.
They kind of fucked up their whole thing, went way too hard on we're victims, and they assessed the mood of their generation and America correctly in that we are lovers of victimhood. Yeah. But America did finally find a way to say, you know what, we love victims, but you two, we've just had a little too much.
GB News quoted critics calling Meghan out as a self-promoter, hanging on to royal ties for relevance. And with her influence now in doubt, that time nod feels more like a head-scratcher than a crow.
I mean, tone deaf could be Meghan Markle's middle name.
Prince Harry's latest BBC interview, where he blasted King Charles for ignoring his security concerns after a failed court appeal, sent shockwaves through the media and sparked furious backlash.
She married for money. It's very clear She bagged the elephant. She was thrilled. She became a, quote, princess.
I mean, Meghan did claim that before dating Harry, she never Googled him, and she said she didn't know much about the royal family.
It was planned from the beginning. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it. And
before they met?
Yeah.
Daily Mail's Sarah Vine slammed Harry's somber tone as self-pitying, accusing him of using Charles's cancer diagnosis for sympathy. ITV News reported palace insiders tearing into his remarks, calling them in very poor taste. Meanwhile, the Mirror revealed Charles's growing distrust, fearing private family. Matters are becoming public spectacles. Ex-users didn't hold back either, calling him entitled, with one even dubbing it a royal pity party.
He lost at the trial court level on this push to make the British royal family pay for his security when he goes to the UK.
Once they realise that myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, please just look at the fact. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, look where the responsibility lies.
What a manipulation. My father's grandchildren. They're gonna die, and it will be his fault.
It's gaslighting on a grand scale. But
the general consensus, Harry's interview is being seen as an overblown complaint, only widening the royal rift. And let's not forget the ongoing whispers about Meghan, accusations that she not only despises the royal family, but may have fueled the entire divide.
As soon as Meghan Markle made it absolutely clear that it was all about the moolah, it was all about the big bucks, it was all about trading off the royal name, but she was lining up these deals when she was still the Duchess of Sussex. She was in talks with Disney, she was in talks with the publishing companies, in talks with Netflix. At that point, the late Queen Elizabeth II, quite rightly in my opinion, said, no, there is no half in, half out. So you can go, you go with our blessing, but you lose everything.
Megyn Kelly didn't hold back, branding Meghan a malignant narcissist. The Telegraph's Celia Walden called her podcast nothing more than a self-centered therapy session, while Page 6 reported Goop turning down her lifestyle guru pitch, calling it too divisive. And let's face it, when Meghan's every tear seems strategically timed to sell her brand, critics are calling it less about vulnerability and more about playing to the cameras. And it's just not working.
But I have zero sympathy for him. The fact that he is putting his father through this in the final years of his life. And Meghan, there are members of the royal family who believe that Harry's behavior hastened the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II.
I believe that too. That's what I say. I say those two killed the Queen.
Podcast host Jamie Kern Lima faced heavy criticism for her over-the-top delivery, with many calling it a cringeworthy forced attempt at praise.
Usually when we're together, we're in our cozy sweats and no makeup. So that's how we are today. No one's picked up my book proposal yet.
Yes.
I haven't found my soulmate yet. Everything is yet.
The power of yet.
The power of yet. Yet. Yet.
YouTube's The Royal Rogue took aim at her high-pitched tone, calling it overdone and claiming she mimicked Meghan's emotions like a hired cheerleader.
But I'm happy. I'm happy, and the kids are healthy, and H is great, but I'm trying to also enjoy these big wins right now.
Yes.
Enjoy them.
He nodded, along to everything Meghan said, playing the ultimate yes woman. The Independent's Royshin Lanigan blasted Lima's gushing, claiming it turned the entire episode into little more than a glorified infomercial.
And this podcast with Jamie Kern Lima was absolutely car crash. I mean, Jamie Kern Lima is actually a very successful woman, a self-made billionaire. However, she is a fame whore because, she first found fame by appearing on the first series of Big Brother. She believes that she's the new Oprah Winfrey. And the problem is, you realize these are the types of people Meghan Markle is surrounding herself with. And none of them are prepared to ever give her a dose of reality.
Podcast host Jamie Kern Lima drew flack for her enthusiastic delivery. It felt super forced and fake praise.
It wasn't a conversation, it was just a Meghan Markle hype session. The host. She sold her company for $1 billion, so she's no rookie when it comes to business. She knows the ropes a lot better than Meghan ever will. But after listening to her sing Meghan's praises for an hour, what did we really learn? Absolutely nothing.
Both of them did come across like they haven't actually, been in touch with maybe someone who's worried about the price of eggs.
Jamie Kern Lima, who seems to be even more fake and insufferable than the Duchess.
Very first question, because I think in friendship it's so important, and I think so many people also have this question for you is, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind.
Yes, it really is that awful. I may have blacked out from smack. She's a princess too, and Harry is slaying dragons to rescue her.
You know, look what we've built. We've built a beautiful life, and we have 2 healthy, beautiful children. And I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers when you get to the final level. And what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Who is Harry rescuing her from? The family she abandoned before making him abandon?
Intro 21 Meghan's tearful podcast and Harry's explosive BBC rant are stirring the same debate. Are they telling the truth or just playing up the drama? From that questionable time nod to behind the scenes whispers of Meghan's fiery temper, it's hard to tell what's real anymore. Intro 22 Meghan's made it clear. She's surrounded by an army of staff. But we've also heard plenty of complaints from people who've worked for her. Critics call them a narcissistic pair, exaggerating their struggles just to garner sympathy, while their supporters insist they're misunderstood. The internet's leaning in hard, wondering if the Duchess of Drama and her prince are more focused on their brand than any real sense of authenticity. As for the truth, who knows? I'm just a guy reading about people way wealthier than me. Catch you tomorrow for another round